And we are back. Welcome to part 2 of Poker and Wine. Should probably get myself another cup. I don't think I'm slurring or anything. I hope that my explanations haven't gotten too much worse. I know they're getting more and more circular, but I'm not exactly going easy on the wine. I've noticed that I've started raising rivers. Wow. I can call this. We make straights. Here. Like, imagine if he has a worse queen. Imagine if he has 8-7. He's just gonna get angry and call. No? Alright. Here. Bet. I can overcall because these players are bad, but I'm not happy about my hand. This is a 5-way pot. That guy opened under the gun, right? I can just fold now. Don't even have to look at the results for that one. I just love this bouquet. This seems break even to me. Deciding to call this, even against a bad player, seems pretty break even. Here, I'm gonna check call. I have the 10 of diamonds, so a lot of turns I can check call again on. Really not my card, but I'm gonna continue to check, and I expect like pocket 8s to keep checking, so that's fine. Point of the whole checking deal is to just beat pocket 8s without having to do anything. Okay. Okay. I'm getting absolutely thrashed in this $5 buy-in game, man. I'm gonna open this if folded too. It's too loose, pretty sure. But I'm gonna do it because I think that the big blind will play wrong. Here, c-bet's fine. Check call is like not that bad. Here, I like just keeping on betting because this guy has a big stack, which implies to me that he could fold with like ace-8 suited. And I block ace-king and ace-jack. It's not a great river, really, for me to keep bluffing. Okay. That is beyond fascinating. One of my thinner 2-straight value hands in recent memory. So he has to have had queen-jack. That's the only thing. Like, I can't live with myself if he didn't have queen-jack there. This is why the check button is good, though. Yes, he had queen-jack of clubs. Alright. I believe that that is commonly referred to as a mandatory bluff on the river. He just has to bet that hand when I check to him. I'm just going to check with ace-king high here. Looks like somebody's curious in this pot. I can get called by like ace-9 again. 9-8's probably not going to keep calling, but I'm just going to go all in. There are hands which beat me on this board, like quite a lot of them. But yeah, it's a funny old game, No Limit Hold'em. So when you play against if you play against a good No Limit Hold'em player, the value of your hand is basically determined by what percentage of the other guy's range you beat. So if you have a pair of aces, that's not like a spectacular hand, that's no royal flush, but if the other guy never has better than a pair of aces, your hand is just absolutely amazing. It is the equivalent of a royal flush, because nobody ever beats it. But against bad players, they don't fold when they have two pair. Like, they don't recognize when a board and ranges are such that somebody's beating them a whole lot of the time. And so you can get in spots against bad players where, because a board is extremely wet, you're value betting much, much more thinly than you should be, because there are just a lot of combos of two pair or straights or flushes or full houses or whatever. And you can be pretty confident that they're not going to be folding any of them. And so you end up like betting a flush on a paired board because you expect to call by a straight, which is going to be a pretty uncommon occurrence in tough games. I don't know when I'm meant to bet here. Like when somebody limps and I'm in the big blind, I just haven't been betting, basically. But I don't know if there's some spot where I'm meant to bet when I just have nothing at all. Because it's hard for them to hit a hand when they limp. It's not easy to have a pair and hold them. And it doesn't cost that much to try to buy the pot with a hand which just isn't gonna win by checking, like Jack High. I think that I would certainly be more inclined to start taking stabs on the turn than the flop, since I give them a chance to bet with their strong hands. And I also give myself a chance to hit a jack and not have to bluff. When you're not drawing to a straight or anything, it really sucks to bluff and put yourself in a situation where your outs aren't good anymore. Like if I bluff so much that somebody's only calling with a jack or better and my hand is like 10 high and then I hit a 10 and I could have checked such that somebody had a bunch of hands worse than a jack in their range and then I hit a 10. Well, in the line where I checked, hitting the 10 actually has value for me. Now I win the pot sometimes, but in the line where I bluffed, not so much. And that's why you often see good players choosing to bluff with flush draws or straight draws or something, because when they hit their hand, they're in a situation where their hand can still be good. So yeah, another thing that does is it incentivizes you more to check when you have just jack high or something in a limped pot. This is another one of the two loose small blind opens. It's just like, it's filthy that people fold so much there. I think it would be normal to defend somewhere between 60 and 80% in your big blind when the small blind opens to 3x. It's also filthy that like when you open the button, so many people call. So we're super deep and I have a very pretty hand and he didn't squeeze very large and we're gonna take it three-way. This hand plays quite well three-way. It makes straights and flushes and makes four of a kind two different ways. And yeah, I can just happily fold to a c-bet into two people when I have nothing. That probably didn't even need to be stated. Alright, so I think just jamming here is better than calling and like trying to get fancy. That's cool. need some more chips. I think a lot of people, like, I don't even know. I don't know what rush. Basically, you suck at math if you think that calling there is better than jamming. I guess a lot of people suck at math. Yeah, the 9's not a terrible card to keep barreling on, but it's not a great one either. Flop bet is like sort of for value. Here, I'm gonna call. Okay. Pretty much have to call this. I have 2 pair outs and trips outs. Okay, so I'm going to be opening both of these hands on the button. I'm going to... This guy's... Okay, so... Shorter stacks tend to actually raise tighter ranges. They tend to play looser, but they tend to limp a lot. So when they raise, it's actually a stronger range. And they don't really fold post-flop, so... I'm just going to let a guy like that walk through my button a whole lot. I'm not going to bother about 3-betting light. I expect to beat him by punishing him when he limps with a weak range and folding when he raises with a good one. I don't need to like punish him by 3-betting light against his raises because I have position or something complicated like that. Here, this would be a wonderful spot for a 4-bet against some people, but I don't know if this guy's one of them. And here, I mean, I have to get in versus a half stack, but I'm not, like, amazingly happy about it. Good lord. I'm running, like, so well, but also so poorly. Just like a bit of both. Unfortunately, at a stage in my poker career where I'm much more upset about like making mistakes or not knowing which option is best than I am about whether or not I won a pot where we got all in pre-flop. It is a much healthier place to be in a poker career. So like, there's 50 cents in the pot, I'm adding another 50 cents to my bet. My stats tell me that small blind limpers fold 50% of that time to that bet, so it's just a profitable bet. Profitable bet with any 2 cards. Which isn't to say that you should make it with any 2 cards. I'm definitely starting to slur now. Because checking is profitable with any 2 cards too. You're going to win some of that pot after you check. I'm going to check back and call a bluff on the river. So I'm going to play this. Oh, I timed out. Oops. It's a really big bluff, but like it's going to be 6-7, 7-8. Oh, 7-8 hit a straight. Okay, well I'll fold then. Awkward. Board reading. It's a tough game. Yeah. Something. I was talking about raising small blind limps and how raising has to be better than checking. When you check, you pay so much rake. All the time. Is that true? I'm not sure if they take the rake until you have $1 in the pot, actually. So maybe you get to play limped pots unraked. I will have to check that the next time it comes up. This will be an open. I've heard a variety of things about how wide you should open from the small blind. It's tempting to 3-bet. I think the hand's just not quite good enough, though. This will be a very standard call. Certainly gonna call a bet on this flop. So I have to play like much differently from how I play against a normal small blind 3-better, because this small blind 3-better has like only the top 40% of what a small blind 3-better's range is meant to be. When I look at an aggregate small blind 3-better at these tables. Maybe I was meant to call that king turn, I don't know. But yeah, regardless of that, tens is still certainly going to be strong enough to call. That guy just raised like 15 big blinds pre-flop. Just like open raised 15 big blinds. I'm pretty sure. Unless I am more drunk than I realize. Here, let's limp behind and see if the pot gets raked. For science, I think that this limp behind is like close to 0 EV. Oh, somebody always spoils the fun. I'm gonna 3-bet this hand and just c-bet a flop and expect that to be profitable. Like with any 2 cards, but these 2 cards happen to be reasonable ones to deal with. Okay, I'm not gonna c-bet the flop anymore because it just doesn't do very good things for me. Narrows his range to hands which are beating me pretty quickly. Makes it impossible for him to bluff. Pretty bad river card. Like betting here would be turning my hand into a bluff. Not much reason to do that. 4-betting would have been normal by him. I would go so far as to say that not 4-betting there is bad. It's funny, actually. So I looked up these aggregate villains and I found out that we don't have enough room for me to check raise all in and represent the flush this time. Okay, but I just win the pot. Well, that's better. I found out that aggregate cutoffs fold not exactly too much to 3-bets from the button, but like enough to 3-bets from the button for them to be okay, which is the only place where, the only positions where I think that 3-betting light is okay in these games. Okay, 222. 72. Yeah, so this pot got raked. So even limping cannot protect me from the rake structure. That's too bad. In fairness, it probably would not have been the best play. So the first 3 times that I tried 3-betting button versus cutoff, I was up against queens, kings, and queens again. And then I think that that one right there may have been the 4th time. Unless there's been a time earlier this video that I've forgotten already. And that guy had ace-king. So my experiment has not been handling variance super well. I'm going to bet this and get called by worse a decent amount. Fascinating, he folded. Maybe I do need to bet those rivers in these limped pots. Here I must have enough. Cool. I don't know if anybody's ever folded to my flop c-bet when I haven't had a hand before. I'm pretty down with that. I think that with the backdoor straight draw, the backdoor flush draw, the fairly dry king high board, I had enough there for a c-bet. Here I have a gutter. It really sucks to get check raised with my hand. It sort of sucks to get check called because, like, I don't really have enough to bet the turn here, I don't think. Just folding this. I want to call. He can have 10-9 or 10-8. He can have spades. He can have a queen. That's fine. I had to be right there, like less than 1 time in 6. So when I make the call, I expect to be wrong like 80% of the time. So it's hard to make the call, be wrong, and then feel bad about it, if that makes any sense. So I found out that limped pots are still rigged, so let's pump this up. Nines are a hand which you're happy to play 4-way in a limped pot or to raise pre-flop for like value-ish, and we're deep enough that I think I want to put more money in the pot pre. This will be a pretty normal call even against a tighter button, I think. I'm just going to keep trying to check down here. I'm going to check behind here and check behind the river. I'm going to check fold here, and I'm going to fold to a pot size bet here. And I'm going to fold to a pot size bet here. It is hard to make a good hand. I'm gonna fold, fold, fold. That was exciting. I think that the games are starting to slow down for the night. They seem to die off at 2 a.m. or something, Pacific Standard Time. So here, I think calling and 3-betting are both fine. I don't know which is better. We're pretty deep. I'm upset a little bit about just getting a fold, but whatever. Here I have 2-pair. It's a very, very weak 2-pair given the board, but it's still strong enough to value bet. Now I just have a king with a pair of 10s and a jack kicker, so I can just check the river. That's wonderful. Alright. So yeah, I was getting value on the turn, and you know, there isn't much more you can do than put money in when you're ahead and don't put it in when you're behind. That guy's pre-flop call with ace-king is like very, very, very bad. It's one thing to call ace-king to play heads-up pot, but like over-calling ace-king offsuit in a spot where it's strong enough to 3-bet is quite atrocious. It's not a hand that retains equity well 3-way at all. And it's a hand that retains equity very well as the pot gets large heads up, so. And it has enough equity to put lots of bets in pre-flop. Okay. So in this spot, I'm ahead of like ace queen, king queen, queen jack, jack 10, ace jack, Did I say ace queen already? I don't know. I'm gonna go for small like value / protection bet on the turn here. I'm gonna check and consider calling here on the river. See like how big he makes it and how fast he bets. Yeah, I just like don't really believe you. And that's like a pretty good example of the worst possible way to play ace queen. He was doing actually pretty okay up until the river bet. The river bet is just very, very bad. Because, I mean, I'm literally always calling with ace king, and that's the worst hand I'm ever calling with. So, it's a pretty bad bet. If it's getting called by every better hand and folding every worse one. That's, yeah, it's hard to make a worse bet than that in poker. One might even say impossible. I guess there are corner cases where you're like chopping with a hand. But it's a pretty fucking bad bet. So I expect them to have like 7-8 with one heart in it a lot here. And I think that I can check call the river. Okay, he had a king high flush on the flop, of course. Where did that hand go? I need to look at the action and tell you how terrible he is. He like checked back with a king high flush, right? So like checking back with an ace high flush is one thing. If the board comes another flush card, you still have the nuts pretty much. And you're blocking all of people's ace high flush draws. Checking back with a king high flush on this monotone board is not the same. It's pretty bad. It's quite bad. Here, so I like timeout checked behind. I don't think there's much reason to bet my queen. 4, 5, 6, 7. Nothing. Okay. I may need to drink less. Here I can value bet the river. Here I have nothing. This guy called king 10 hearts. That's standard. Yeah, the check behind part on the flop. It's very, very bad. Like, he could have very likely got more money out of me by just betting. I have difficulty folding in these games. Not sure if anybody's noticed that yet. This is a sort of board where ace high is not amazing. I have a backdoor wheel draw. I don't know. Ace 6 I like wouldn't see bet, and ace 5 I will see bet. It's just like, it's not necessarily that I think they're so different, it's just that I want to see bet some and not see bet others. And having the backdoor wheel draw makes me a little bit more inclined to see bet this one. Okay, that's like a pretty standard way to play pocket kings, I would say. Just like completely standard play with pocket kings pre-flop, and then like very normal play with top set on the flop, turn and river. The guy was just not interested in taking any money off me. So like once again I have 3-bet button versus cutoff because my sample suggests that people fold enough to 3-bets in these positions. I've gotten called. I have an open-ended straight draw on a board, which is like pretty good for his calling range, in honesty. After he calls flop, I think I'll just take my card. Well, no. We're so deep. Ooh, I'm getting raised. Okay, I have the nuts on the river. I think I can just fold here. People don't raise the flop very often. That's a board that he can have something on. Jesus Christ. Does he have King Jack too? I don't know. I'm gonna put the money in. Okay. That's sort of surreal. Well, that's the first time that they haven't had Queens Kings or Ace King. His decision to donk the river there is like disgustingly okay. I probably could have folded Queen 8 offsuit to an under the gun raise. This might be a little bit ambitious. I mean, I have to call on the flop. I have the Queen of Spades in my hand, man. We're getting a little bit out there at this point with our pre-flop decisions. I'm gonna try a 3-betting here. This is a very, very good 3-betting hand. Yep, that guy's definitely opening to 11 big blinds. Okay, I'm gonna check. This is the sort of board where the pre-flop 3-better out of position should be checking a lot. Because I have a lot of queens and kings and like a few ace kings, but I also have bluffs like ace 5. He's going for a small value bet on the end. Of course I'm good. Yep. Okay. So let's find out what this guy had. Like, my hypothesis is increasingly becoming people are only open raising with queens plus ace king or hands which are nut straights by the river. Because that's all I play against. Yeah, that guy had kings. Alright. 4-betting would be standard pre-flop. What happened is like the exact reason why you do not want to call with kings pre-flop. Because it costs you the entire pot when I hit an ace there. Pretty much. You have 2 outs, and if you'd 4-bet, I would have folded. So, or I might have gone all in, and then you would have, well, okay, you would have lost, I guess. You would have lost your stack. But overall, I would say getting all in against ace 5 suited is a profitable thing to do with kings. That's just a hunch. I haven't run the math. I'm lying to you. I have run the math. I raise. I fold. I'm going to raise these guys. I'm going to fold. We're getting towards the end of this bottle of wine. Now, it wasn't completely full when I started. I don't want you guys to worry about me. These are all actually completely reasonable pre-flop plays. This is a pretty good hand to c-bet with. This is a very good hand to c-bet with. This is a mediocre card to keep barreling at best. That said, I'm going to barrel and bet the river. This is a very good card to keep barreling because I have the nuts. Okay, we got some turn folds. Like, my favorite thing about the sample that I have on aggregate players and stuff, which I have been using less and less as I've drunk more, is that people just like haven't folded the turn a single time in my sample. We have like 20% turn fold or something on all of these aggregate villains. Turn fold is like meant to be 35 to 40% probably. Probably 40%. So yeah, that's why I don't bluff a whole lot in these games, except for like massive river raises for some reason. People usually call them. You guys should feel privileged to have seen me get 2 river raises through. This is getting circumspect right here. Not a board where I can fold ace high, obviously, without like several bets. I think just checking and trying to hit a queen or an 8 is fine. This is a pretty good card for me. Decent number of 10x hands, which just check the flop. I have more 10x in my range than he does, etc. When I raise the big blind and he calls... Wait, when I raise the button and he calls a big blind. That's what I meant to say. Raising this because big blinds fold too much. Boom. When I raise the button and he calls a big blind, I have more of the premium hands because he 3-bets them. And I have more of the weak hands because he calls with a tighter range than I open. But he has more of the middling hands. So like queens and jacks are his cards and 10s and 9s are my cards, sort of. In that particular spot where I checked back on the button. Sort of. Yeah, I'm gonna head to that with sort of. I feel like I should say sort of a few more times because that was an extremely, extremely broad statement. And it was definitely not a like irrefutable truth of No Limit Hold'em, what I just said. But hopefully you understand the theory where like I'm raising more hands than he's calling and he's 3-betting some of his strongest hands. So I have more of the strongest hands and more of the weakest hands in my range. And that's pretty true of all the positions, and that's why the preflop raiser tends to be the one who does most of the betting, because when you have weak hands, you want to bet to bluff, and when you have strong hands, you want to bet for value. Whereas when you have medium hands, you just want to like bluff catch and try to get to showdown. I'm gonna 3-bet this. It's a squeeze. It's mostly for value. If I get 4-bet, I'm folding. But I think that most of the time they continue it's with a call, like so. Dream flop for jacks. This is like absolutely amazing. I've never 3-bet jacks and flopped an overpair before in my life, so it's nice to finally check that one off the bucket list. So, oh, nice. I'm gonna value bet here. It's thin. But out of position you can value bet thinner because checking sucks so much. Checking out of position really sucks, guys. Read about it in People magazine or something. Here, there aren't many hands that I'm folding the big blind to a min raise, but I mean, if there are any 9-2 offsuits, probably one of them. It's just that rake structure, man. Ugh. If the rake structure wasn't so bad, I could have played that easy. This will be a fold. This guy I'm probably playing. Yeah, I'm certainly. This is not a hand I can ever fold. Jack 6 offsuit. Also not a hand I can ever fold to a min raise. 10-6 offsuit. Definitely getting there. Definitely considering it. I mean, I'll just try to hit my king. I can, if checked too, I could consider starting to bluff there, but don't have to bluff catch, in my opinion. This is not a good board for my hand. I'm just giving up with my hand, never putting another cent into this pot. If I win it at Showdown, it will be absurd. Absolutely ridiculous. But, like, sometimes it will happen. It's true. Soon it will be time for me to chat with my girlfriend for the night, so probably I'll go another 20 minutes to get this second video to an hour, and then I will Lamar telephone no mi novia. Pretty sure that was fluent Spanish, right? It's got to be close. I probably had at least 2 of those words right. Okay. This will be a fold. This is probably meant to be a raise even against good players. Even against good players. I am going for it. I have so much backdoor stuff. This is an example. I think that I have to bet turn and river here. Alright. Just lots of queen jack sort of stuff, which folds to that river bet. Calling down with like a pair of 10s would, I mean, I would not describe that as standard, nor particularly winning or anything, but yes, that is why I don't bluff in these games. I'm gonna, like, I don't know, this is such an awkward, weird thing about Hold'em. Like, we're 4-way and I have this hand, and if I check, like, all the hands have a very good chance of beating me, and if I bet, like, most of the hands which call me are ahead of me. I don't know what to do. I think betting or checking are both okay there. They're both better than open folding. It's nice when we can at least be confident that what we're doing is better than open folding. I'm going to call 1 and fold to a turn bet here. And I'm going to raise this up for sure. Like, low pocket pairs are going to be some of the best hands to raise with against people who are limp folding 50% of the time, because they, like, I pretty much have the same equity against 5-4 suited as I do against Jack 10 suited, so. Now my hand sucks, because that's how low pocket pairs work, so I'm just going to check and fold. Low pocket pairs really suck. It just, like, it feels very disappointing every time you play a low pocket pair and don't hit a set. I could probably open 4s under the gun in this game. I could certainly open 4s under the gun in this game. My fold there is like largely because I'm just used to folding there. Okay, so there are 15 minutes left. I'm gonna break out my random raise sizings because they're badass. So this is a spreadsheet that I built for myself, which is randomizing my raise sizings with different hands, basically. And I'm not going to go into like exactly how large I make it with different hands, etc. And I also have only written it for under the gun and hijack. I think that's what that position is called. But from now on, I'm going to randomize my raise size from those positions in a way which I believe to be very difficult to exploit. And it's going to be sweet. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to experiencing this with you guys. Unfortunately, the spreadsheet is lagging very, very hard. Possibly something to do with recording this video. So, if I ever actually open in under the gun or the cutoff, I'll put that to work. Here, I have the king of clubs. I only have king high, so making him fold ace high is a victory for me. So I'm gonna bet. Be a much better bet with king 10 because I have 2 overs and some backdoor straight stuff, but it's an okay bet with king 2. Oh, I forgot to randomize. Shit. There you go. This is an example of a hand which I think this is like, this might be like my best bluff. Like, it's weird to say, but I block king queen and queen jack, and I also block 2 different flushes. So the fact that my hand has absolutely no chance of improving to beat anything, pretty much, well, I had backdoor straight draws, is less relevant. Anyway, if we assume that I have to bluff with something, that's a pretty decent hand to bluff with. Alright, ace 10 offsuit. 80, well, I have to divide it by 5. Shit, that's too much work. Alright, I'll do it on these tables, but I'm not going to try to divide 84 by 5 right now. It would be, hold on, it would be 15, 17. I should have opened 17 cents with this hand. Also, like, my spreadsheet's telling me not to open ace 10 offsuit under the gun because it's a terrible open, but I felt like it was mandatory at this table. So, that was actually my raise size for ace jack. I'm giving you guys so many secrets right now. Just like throwing away information. Just like I have it in spades to give away or something. This is gonna be an open for me, for sure. It's gonna be a fold because the button doesn't 3-bet anywhere near enough. Alright, we have like a real bluff hand. So I can bet this or I can check fold it. Like, so check folding is just such a waste of that hand. So you sort of have to bet it. But if you if you check it and they bet big, you can't really call with a 9-high flush draw there. I mean, it's a hand that you are not upset to have in your checking range if it gets checked through and you get to see a turn, especially if the turn is a heart. I expect people to be raising way too tight, so I don't know. I could have folded this maybe. That's my opinion of people's under the gun raising ranges at this game. But yeah, if I don't want to call it and I don't think that 3-betting light is good, like typically if you didn't want to call king queen offsuit against an undergun raiser, you would just go ahead and 3-bet with it because you block kings and queens and ace king and ace queen. Like what more could you ask of a hand? If you were to block any more premium hands, you would have to have a premium hand yourself. So king queen's a pretty sweet 3-betting hand. But yeah, I don't think that 3-betting light is super inviting against this field. Like, I think it's closer to being a 3-bet for value with king queen offsuit than as a bluff, honestly. But I think that people are just opening the under the gun way too tight, so not even that. This is a playable hand. I can check this and see a flop too. I have a gutter. I can open this, which is not a real thing I should do. I can 3-bet this, even against a tight under the gun person. I have a king, I have a vector flush draw. It's sort of a protection bet. I don't really know what it means when he check calls instantly. Here I'm gonna bet, here I'm gonna call, here I'm gonna call. I meant that. That's not a hand that he needs to bet the river with. Like, betting the river with that hand is quite bad. Here I'm gonna bet again. This is just like, this is my bluff hand. King queen on this board is what I bluff with after I 3-bet out of small blind. That's fine. I can fold this. So, from a game theoretical point of view, I have to be bluffing with something when I bet. If I'm not bluffing, it's pretty easy to play against me. You just fold unless you beat the hands I'm betting for value. Which really sucks when I have hands which are betting for value, because they don't get a lot of value if people only fold unless they're beating me. We get to play aces deep. So on this board, like, if I don't have queen 10 suited, which realistically I don't in this game, my bluffing hand is going to be king queen because it has a gutter and 2 overs, and I'm also going to have some diamond hands, and I just, like, if I'm ever going to bluff, I need to bluff with those hands. Alright, we made a guy sit out. So, bucket list number 2 for the night. I still haven't randomized my opening raise size, and I apologize for that. Unfortunately, I did not manage to get repopped with aces. I'm approaching the $100 mark, and also probably close to break even for the session, which is sort of wonderful. I'm pretty happy about that. Alright, here we go. Here we go. This is it. This is it, boys. This is war. Okay. My spreadsheet is hanging. Alright, 59. We made it. We made it. Whew. Guess what, though? The next time I raise pocket 8s is going to be a different size. You probably won't see that in this video. I actually think the betting here is fine. That's unfortunate, but I will fold. Here I certainly think betting is ideal. Gutter 2 overs, jack high only. The worse that my hand is, and like absolute showdown value, the better bluffing with it is. So jack high makes me happy about bluffing. And the fact that I have a gutter and 2 overs makes me very happy about bluffing. It's a lot of cards that I can hit to improve my hand. I believe I'm almost exactly break even on this 2-hour session. I have not had great difficulty in getting all in with 80% equity, but it has been somewhat troubling trying to work out how to win the pot after doing so. It's basically my analysis of this session. Alright, 9s. Well, if I can't refresh the worksheet, I have to raise the same amount. Okay. I ran out of time. I'm sorry, guys. Apparently this doesn't work so hot when I'm recording, because everything freezes up. Things just fall apart. In the words of, I believe that was David Bowie. I really want to play King 7 suited, but I don't think I can. We have 3 minutes left to make something happen over here. Try to break 3 figures. Okay, this is going to be a raise. Tens and jacks, just not hands that I want to... Like, you waste so much of their value letting the pot go 4-way or whatever, because so many flops in Element Hold'em are jack, queen, king, ace high, and when the pot is 4-way, it's really hard to be winning the pot with just a 10 on that texture. On the other hand, when you have a set of 10s and it's an ace high board, you're probably doing okay. I think just half potting is fine. I intend to get 3 bets against an ace, and it's gonna suck if somebody hits a flush against me. But I'm feeling good about it. I don't need to like try to stack this guy. I just need to get as much as he's gonna give me with an ace. I don't know what he could possibly have had that folds the turn, because the normal hands which call once and then fold turn are 10s, and I had 3 of them. I guess he had king queen or queen jack, like just with a gutter. I think that that's a very, very optimistic flop call, though. Maybe he had like ace 4 suited and is a good player. That's sort of laughable. That's a hypothesis I think we can quickly discard. Alright. Alright. We are... Oh, we used to be in decent shape with queens. Alright, we almost got there. We almost got it in with 80% equity and won. But it was not to be. I don't know. King high flops are a little less check happy than ace high flops for the 3 better out of position, because I have a lot of like ace x of hearts or ace x of diamonds which just wants to bet. Whereas if it had hit an ace on the flop, it would be pretty happy with checking. I don't know what he has that calls once and folds a turn, but I mean there are hands which should do it. Alright, so I guess I'm going to sit out next big blind. This night will be fondly remembered as the night where I got all in with 80% equity like 17 times and won 1 of them. I think it was only 3 times, and I won 1 of them, but yes. I'm gonna bet with this hand because I blocked king queen. I'm gonna bet. Oh, this guy doesn't have any money. Oh, we're at a $5 buy-in table. That's why. I'm gonna bet twice with it because I don't block any backdoor flush draw sort of hands. So if he floats with like Jack 10 of hearts, well, King Jack with the backdoor flush draw is a better one. I don't block any of those. Oh, I pressed check. Alright. Alright. Well done. This is interesting. This guy's opening the 5 big blinds on the button. It's typically going to be a pretty strong hand. Not the best flop for queens. Here I'm going to call with king high. Alright, fair enough. Gonna check with queens. Sometimes you do want to check with ace king because of when you have queens. Okay, I'm not gonna fold to that bet. I have a gutter now. I'm not gonna fold to that bet either. Okay, I win. That, I feel a little bit disgusting about that. I feel that my opponent perhaps did not play optimally. Let's see what he had. Just not gonna load. Alright, this is gonna make it harder to find out what he had. I'm guessing it was ace jack or pocket tens. She has a girlfriend now. She says, "Guys, don't do no more for me." No, he had 6-4 offsuit and opened to 5 big blinds. Called a 3-bet and then bet twice with. Okay, yeah, okay. This is the game that I have broken even in tonight. I actually think I won in the end. Hold on, let's add it all up. I started with like 300 and something, and I have, okay, 300 and something. So, if you like carry the decimals, I think I broke even pretty much. I might have made like $3. Alright, well thank you for watching, guys. I had fun. My bottle of wine thanks you. And if this is well received, I may have to make some more. Mostly it's because playing poker is boring on your own. So thank you for joining me. But yeah, hopefully somebody out there gets something out of this as well.